Hey, welcome to Tea with Isaac and Terry.
We're going to talk about anything from the latest news in pop culture to the things God is doing in and through our lives.
But it's really just an excuse for us to get to hang out. We hope you enjoy. This week on Tea with Isaac and Terry, we talk about our adventures in the nations.
My love for Mardi Gras.
And me getting fully funded mid-podcast for my next mission trip.
Woo! Welcome to Tea with Isaac and Terry,
where we'll drink our favorite teas and spill all the bee's knees.
Is there anything you want to talk about, Isaac?
Sure. I'm doing okay. Today was my first Sabbath in like 5 years.
Yeah?
Not 5 years, but yeah. So today was my first like rest day in a long time. It's been really good today. I literally have done nothing. I kind of started laundry and I laid on the floor for 20 minutes straight in complete silence.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you just need to be still and know that God is God.
Yeah.
It's biblical.
It's on my ring.
And
have you seen my ring?
You're married? That was quick.
Isaac, what do you mean that was quick?
I mean,
I'm not
like,
even in a relationship.
I know, that's what I was saying. I'm like, I haven't talked to you in like 2 weeks, but...
It says be still, and then on the back it says be still, know that I am God, Psalm 46:10.
Oh, fun.
I got it at Mardella 2 years ago. Sometime.
But yeah.
When I was working at Chick-fil-A and was hecka stressed all the time. And having anxiety attacks. Anyway,
yeah, so I'm doing pretty good. Currently trying to fundraise for my missions trip.
We speak, he's on his laptop.
Yeah. I'm fully funded.
What? Just now?
My girlfriend just fully funded me.
Praise God
Quality.
for dear.
Quality lady right there.
Praise God for he is good. Now he's updating all the people. I keep asking him.
Yeah, everyone keeps asking if I'm LOL. My lady is crazy.
Your lady?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you say it like that?
Yeah, so that's exciting.
Yeah. Praise God.
Good times.
Oh, fully funded for what?
Oh, yeah, I'm going on a mission trip this spring break, so in like a couple weeks here, down to Mexico.
Or 7 years later, depending on when we post. Anyway, where are you going?
Mexico, Tijuana. Okay. And I am so excited. Really believing that God's going to do a lot. I've been on this same trip 3 other times. This is my 4th time. But this is the first time we're going to Tijuana. And so I'm really excited. It's going to be real good. Real fun.
I did a lot of praying about going on the same mission trip and really wanted to go, and like even did the like early registration stuff, paid the like $25 down payment, whatever it is, and then found out that same weekend was a big event that we do at Magnolia, and it's a blackout date because it's like a huge thing. And so I was like, well, shoot, I'm not gonna be able to go. God, what do you want me to do? And he just like gave me a lot of peace about it and was like, hey, don't stress about it. And I was like, okay. And then a few days ago, I was journaling and spending time with Jesus, and I was asking him like, okay, what do you want me to do like during spring break? Because like a lot of my friends are going to be out of town. Like, what do you want for me and for like the people who are going to still be here to do? Like, do you want us to do like a thing? Like, what do you want? And he was just like really laying on my heart to like do a worship night and like really continue to partner with what he's doing in TJ as well as like other parts of the world. Even though like we won't be there with y'all, that doesn't mean that we can't be a part of what he's doing and like can't be partnering with it. And so I was like, okay, let's go. And so I literally was at work and I was journaling, and like God was speaking all this, and I like was so excited. I like finished journaling and I literally like jumped out of my chair because I was on break jumped out of my chair and was like, oh my gosh, I'm so ready. Like, let's go. Let's conquer the day. And like my coworkers were like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm great. God is just really good. That's all. It's fine. But yeah, I'm just really excited to see what God is going to do through that. And because like, I know I would feel left out if I couldn't go. And like God hadn't said like you should do this worship night. Like I feel it would be hard for me to not feel left out and hard for me to not feel lonely with like all these people going and all these people having experiences that I won't have. So I felt like he was like inviting me to like, and you know, obviously invite everyone who's still gonna be in Waco and be like, hey, like you should come to this worship night and like still bring into what he's doing and stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited about that.
That's exciting. Yeah, prayer is like. It's so funny. I remember a few summers ago, I was actually about to go to Peru for a missions trip, but I was only getting to be there for the second half of the summer. And there were like 3 weeks where I wasn't doing anything. And I was like, man, I wish I could just go. But felt like God was calling me to pray. And so I got to like be part of like all these different prayer teams. And it was like... It was such a powerful experience. Like, yeah, getting to, like, pray into what God was doing. And, like, it's something I'm so glad that I got to be a part of. Because, like, being there obviously would have been awesome, too. But, like, getting to pray and then hear testimonies of what God did. And just be like, man, like, I got to be a part of that. It was super cool.
Yeah.
So, that's super fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the summer because I applied to be an intern, basically like do a 3-month mission trip. I don't know yet if have been accepted or not. Like we're still in the process of like interviewing and all of that, but still, like I really want to be a part of what God is doing in the world and in the nations. So I really hope I can go. But who knows? Oh my gosh, you're like, why are you doing this to me? She jumped out of my arms. Yeah, so you're doing, how are you? Do you want to talk about anything else?
No, I mean, I'm doing really good. I'd say figuring out a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's been good. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing better than I was earlier this week, which is great. Wasn't feeling great earlier this week, just mentally a lot of attack, which was frustrating, but you know, I got through it. God got me through it, so yeah, overall pretty okay. Right now I'm really tired and my muscles really hurt. So yesterday, me and Dare, I'll back up. So a few days ago, the weather went from like 80 degrees to like 34 degrees.
Yeah, in like 2 hours.
In literally like overnight. Like I went to bed, it was warm. I got up and it was freezing inside my house because we didn't turn the heater on because we didn't think it was gonna get that cold. So that was a nasty surprise because multiple reasons. Because I was like, oh frick, it's cold, but also because anytime the weather changes like that, my knees especially really ache, and so like the whole day I was like limping all over Magnolia, which was really fun going up and down all the 100 staircases that we have. So that made my knees hurt. Have words. That has been making my knees especially hurt a lot recently. I also think I slept on my back really weird the other night, and so my lower back really is hurting, and I don't exactly know why. So that's kind of concerning. But so that was already happening. And then yesterday I got home from work and was like, Dare, I feel awful. I feel like my body is trying to implode. And so she was like, oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm going to go work out. Do you want to go with me? And I was like, that sounds horrible. But I feel like God wants me to do it. But I don't want to do it. And she was like, it's okay, like, you don't have to, but, like, the invitation is there. And she was like, yeah, you could also just, like, do something really light and, like, not exhausting on your knees. So, like, you wouldn't have to do, like, the same workout as me. It's fine. So we went to the gym, and that was the first time I'd ever gone to a gym ever in my life. Like, I've done exercise before, but, like, in color guard, or, like, in a group of people, like, on a team where we're, like, all exercising together, like, outside.
You've never gone to the gym?
No. I've never had a reason to. I also struggled to, like, motivate myself to exercise for, like, just my health, which is probably bad, but it's not something that I value other things a lot more than I value that. Like, I value, like, eating healthier, but going and, like, running for 30 minutes, like, just... So I went to the gym with Terri, and we worked out for, I don't know, like, an hour and a half or something, and I actually felt really good. Like, my knees felt better after the workout than before, which was really nice. I was like, oh, that's cool. Praise God. And so we left. Oh, also, going and working out, I thought was going to be an exhausting, horrible, like, just mentally exhausting. That's how you say that. Mentally exhausting. Because I hate exercise, and I can't motivate myself very easily. And so I was like, this is going to be horrible, and it's just going to take so much out of me to, like, make myself do this. So I thought it was going to just be such a hard mentally experience. That's not how you say that, but just because, like I said, it takes a lot out of me to motivate myself to do that. So I was, like, preparing for that, and then, like, there's listening to music and stuff, and I was listening to music as well. And then I just got this idea. I was like, why don't I just watch all those YouTube videos that I've been wanting to watch but don't have time to watch? And so I literally just was running on the treadmill and watching YouTube videos at the same time. It was literally my favorite. Like, I had such a great time doing that. I was like, man, I can do this all the time. Anytime I watch YouTube videos, just, like, start doing, like, running or doing something else. And it makes it bearable, and I didn't hate it, and that was great. So we got done with that, and then we went to H-E-B, because Dare was like, oh, I'm going to get, like, food and stuff, and I was like, oh, yeah, I need milk, and that's all I was going to get. And then we started talking about, like, eating healthier, and I was like, man, I don't eat very healthy, but I really want to, but I also don't know how to do that well. And she was like, oh, I can teach you. And so we got all these healthy meal prep things and a bunch of, like, healthy alternatives for, like, snacks and things like that. And then we ran into you because you also needed to go to H-E-B. So
yes.
We ended up hanging out, the three of us, at H-E-B at 11 o'clock at night. It was a fun time. And then we came home and had to put all this stuff away and clean out our fridge and cook a lot of the food for, like, today and tomorrow. So I didn't get in bed until late. So I'm also exhausted because of that. The other day, I was sitting at this table. I don't remember what I was doing. I was doing something on my laptop, like looking at emails or something. And I just, like, got this desire to just record a song. And I was like, okay. It's, like, not, like, a song that already exists. Just, like, do a cover of it. And so I did. And it was a lot of fun. And I'll probably never do anything with it again. But it was so much fun. And I really liked doing it.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I'm leading worship at my life group on Tuesday.
That's fun.
Yeah, we're doing, like, it's very, like, spontaneous.
What?
Like, spontaneous worship. And I was like, Sydney, we should do this. And then she was like, okay. And then she, like, mentioned something about me doing it. And I was like, and I, like, said no. And then later on, felt like I was saying I need to get over myself. And so I'm doing that.
Fun. Yeah, so I was watching this show today, and it's called One Day at a Time. And it's a sitcom about this family that's Cuban, and they talk a lot about what's the word? Kind of like, I guess, risky topics to talk about on a not podcast. Risky topics to talk about on like a on a sitcom format. So they talk a lot about mental health, and one of the characters comes out as gay. They talk about like dating and like a lot of things that sitcoms really usually steer away from. They talk about like racism and feminism and government and like a bunch of things. Immigration is a big one because they're Cuban. So I just think it's a really interesting show, and it's really funny, and it's also really like they balance like talking about serious issues but like also being really lighthearted and funny. So I highly recommend it. But was watching that earlier. I was watching the season finale, and I was weeping because it was so beautiful, and like just the way it's just so well made, and I was just like, I was crying, and I was like, this is so good. I love the show. So that's why my glasses are dirty. Because I was crying.
What is it called?
What is? One Day at a Time. Oh,
you already said that to me, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Twice.
That's my bad.
It's okay. I'm not upset. Yeah, my roommate Dell, I think, showed it to me. Or maybe Kaylee did. Or both of them at the same time. I can't remember. But they just came out with their second season recently. So it means I have to wait a whole year for the third one. But it's okay. But yeah, it's really good. You should watch it.
Maybe I will. What type of tea are you drinking?
I am drinking chamomile, which I think is one of my favorite teas, probably. It might be my favorite. I'm not sure.
Don't you drink that every time?
Most times. Not every... I don't know if I've drunk it. I might have drunk it every time. I drink other teas, like when I make tea. I don't exclusively drink this, but it is a fan favorite.
Ah.
Yeah, so I'm drinking that with, obviously, my spoonful of honey, as I always do, in a mug that says, where everyone has a seat at the table, and then on the other side, it has the Magnolia Table seal, and obviously, it is a Magnolia mug. I did not get it at Magnolia Table. I got it at the Little Shop on Bosque that I've talked about before, which is where they sell this scratched and discontinued stuff. And there is a slight imperfection on the side of this mug, which is why they were selling it there. So I got it for, I think, $10.
That's
also,
still so expensive.
One of these dogs is chewing my foot! Stop.
The most I've ever paid for a mug is, I think, $5. And that was a Christmas present for another person.
What kind of... Where are you buying your mugs? That's cheap.
I know. Not Magnolia.
Well, no. Like, even... I
get my mugs either at Ross or Marshall's or Dollar Tree.
See, that's why. If you get it at, like, Target, it's...
Yeah, I can't afford that.
Still expensive. Okay.
Those are the things that you asked for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Jared got me, like, a Magnolia mug from Target. Still from Target.
Their Home and Hearth?
Yeah.
Hearth and Home?
And I love it. That's one of
Is
my
it Home and Hearth or Hearth and Home?
I don't know.
I feel like I should know this. But I don't. Because I don't go to Target. I always go to H-E-B. Also, fun fact, they now have a line at Anthropologie.
Really?
Magnolia. Mm-hmm.
Is that the soap store?
I don't know.
What is Anthropologie?
I want to say it's like home decor stuff, but I don't actually know because I don't shop there because apparently it's really expensive. And also there's not one in Waco.
Anthropologie.
Oh, it's spelled really bougie because it doesn't have a Y at the end.
Oh my goodness, that's ridiculous.
I find that to be funny.
Oh, it looks like they have everything.
Oh, they have like clothing, home and furniture. Oh, so it's like a really bougie...
They have plus. There's a whole category called plus. What is it? Plus size? Okay, these girls are still thinner than me.
I don't know if that's true.
But I just...
Well, let's talk about that. The whole, like, plus size. Like, what are your thoughts? Yeah, so let's talk about that, actually. What do you think about, like, the whole just plus sizes? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm a man, so men are not allowed to have opinions on these things. But I'll tell you anyways.
Okay, I don't think that's true.
Well...
You're allowed to have an opinion, but...
Some people don't think so.
Why?
Have you been on Twitter?
No. I'm serious, I don't have
Men, okay, men are not allowed to talk about anything.
I think, okay, like, with just, like, a lot of
Especially
feminine issues,
men.
I think it is wrong for women to say that men... Stop! I think it's wrong for women to say that, like, men can't have an opinion, but I also don't think it's okay for men to be the ones to, like, make decisions solely. Because a lot of times, in government especially, it's majority men that make decisions.
Yeah. I mean, it makes
about
sense.
feminine issues, and it's like, well, you're not giving the people who are actually dealing with these issues any voice.
That's
or
why.
enough voice.
That's why like feminine products are still taxed.
Which is freaking dumb. I am very passionate about this.
I know.
Luxury tax my butt. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like yogurt isn't.
Yes. Okay, whatever.
Like what? Like why is yogurt not?
I know there's corruption in the world. It just is irritating that that's one of the things.
So
plus sizes.
Yeah. So I think that it has... Yeah, I think we should have had... I just don't understand why we haven't had clothes that fit people forever. I think you should make clothes that fit everyone. I think maybe people make... I think they're just making a big deal out of it. I think people are just... I'm like, why does it have to say plus size? I just think...
Why can't you just say size?
Well, yeah, why can't... I don't know. I think it's whatever.
I
don't know. I don't have an opinion. I'm skinny. Clothes never fit me.
I have
to buy things from women's department.
Because I actually don't know. I don't think I'm considered a plus size. Depending on the place you go into. If you go into Forever 21, I probably cannot find something that is going to fit me. Even though I'm not that big.
See, Forever 21 is the only place. Forever 21 and H&M are the only stores that I've found that have clothes that fit me without it being like impossible to find or like custom or something.
Yeah. For a lot of women though, it's like when they have plus sizes, it's usually very limited, and there are like, just because of the way like their body shape is, there's so much variance, but they don't market to any of that variance, which is so frustrating. And not really, like I said, it's not really something I've really had to deal with, but like I know people who have, and so like they have a lot of trouble with finding things that, one, fit them really well, and two, speak to their styles, because they have their own styles, obviously, because they're people, and are like actually cost effective. And there was something else I was gonna say, but I forgot what it was. Dang it, I don't remember. It was a really good point too. Hi, baby.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like talking about it. I'm like, whatever. We'll figure it out. America, do your stuff right.
Fixed it.
Yeah.
Way to go, Isaac. You did it.
You're welcome.
I'm so proud.
The white male saves the day once again.
Oh my gosh. Please don't. Please don't say that. Are you just doing like your...
I am currently support raising.
That's really funny. As we speak.
I am really good at multitasking. What you guys don't know is I've like done homework while we've recorded podcasts.
Which is so weird for me to process, because like I would never be... Like I could barely hold this conversation and hold melon at the same time.
Yeah, I can do lots of things.
I can also do lots of things, but just separately. At separate times. No.
Oh, I never told you guys what tea I'm drinking.
Oh, what are you drinking, Isaac?
I am drinking peppermint because I have kind of a headache. I woke up this morning and experienced what I assume being hungover feels like, which happens to me a lot of mornings actually, where I'll wake up and I have this pounding headache and like my stomach feels all weird and I like am so tired and just want to get back in bed, or like don't want to get out of bed, and like it hurts to open my eyes and it hurts to do anything.
That sounds not good.
Yeah, so I felt that way, and then my headache really hasn't, like it's gotten a lot less as the day has progressed. But
do you know why?
I'm probably just unhealthy, to be honest.
Maybe you should ask God about it.
I just have been eating not great because I haven't had money or time, so I just kind of like don't, and I haven't gotten much exercise or anything. Teresa's getting distracted by my Facebook.
Because the picture, I definitely thought it was somebody from my hometown, and I was really confused because it looks a lot like her, but it's not.
Yeah, me and your childhood bestie are
actually, yes, friends. I thought it was my childhood best friend. I was like, how do you know her?
God stories. Okay, what type of God stories do you have for us today?
You don't have any? I can go first.
I do have some.
Okay, I'll go first.
But I always go first.
Okay. So last week, what is today? Friday? Was it this week? Or was it last week? I think it was last week. So last Wednesday, it's like a week and a half ago, I was at college service, and God was moving very powerfully, and the people in the room, excuse me, and so we were all praying for healing and just praying for each other in whatever way God we felt led to. And so me and Issa and a few other girls ended up praying over this one girl, and she deals with a lot of really heavy depression and just a lot of anxiety. And so she was like, I need healing for that because like Satan sucks and he's not making it easy for me, and like I need help. And so I was like, wow, well, first of all, go you for admitting that you need help, and like asking for prayer, because that can be really terrifying sometimes. So we were praying over her, and like we were all praying for her, and then we just like after a few minutes we kind of took a second and we're waiting on God and just asking him what he was saying. And so I was waiting on God and I was sitting next to her, and I felt like he said the words giving key, and I was like, oh. Like I instantly knew what that meant, but I also instantly was like, no, I don't want to do this thing that I know you're asking me to do, because I bought this giving key at Magnolia several months ago. And if you don't know what giving keys are, the Giving Key Project, I highly recommend that you go and look it up. But basically it is this company called the Giving Key Project, I think is the name of the company, or just Giving Keys. Anyway, so it's this company who like they make different jewelry pieces, mainly like key necklaces, and each key says a word. And so some say brave, some say love, some say just a bunch of different words. Some say trust, or whatever the word, there's a bunch of different ones. And so the whole thing with this project is that you get the key and you wear it, and then you're supposed to look for someone to give it to. And so you just give it to somebody who you feel like God is like speaking that word over. And so I bought this key for myself back in like November or something. It was, I don't even know, it probably was longer than that. It was like during that time where I was like really depressed and like was struggling a lot with like feeling, discouraged. And so I just felt like God was inviting me to buy this key, and I was like, I don't really have money, but okay, we're gonna do it. And so bought the key, and I absolutely loved it. It's like one of my favorite necklaces. I would wear it all the time. It says Restore on it. I think I already said that, but it says Restore. And just because like that was a thing that I felt like God was speaking over me a lot. over the past few months. It was just like he was bringing restoration to me, and just like a lot of things inside of me. And so I was like, okay, cool. So flash forward to last week. He says giving key, and I'm like, instantly don't want to give her this key, even though I know that that's what God is saying, because he like kept saying it. He was like, giving key, and I was like stressing the giving, and I was like, no, Jesus, I don't want to do this because it's my key. You don't understand, God. I bought it for me. And like in the back of my mind when I bought it, I was like, I'm not giving this key away. I'm just gonna keep it, even though like their whole thing is giving it away. But like he's speaking it so much over me, I don't want to give it away. And so he was like, Teresa, you're being prideful. And I was like, frick, okay, you are right. I am being prideful. And just felt convicted that, like, hey, if he wants me to have another key, I can find another key. It's not a big issue. But, like, it was more about, like, the obedience and, like, humbling myself in that moment than it was about, like, having a key or necklace or not. That says restore. Like, at the end of the day, that's trivial. And so I was like, okay, I'll give her the key. And so I like lean over to her and I'm like, hey, have you ever heard of the Giving Key Project? She was like, no. So I explained it to her and ended up giving her the key. And I was like, oh, funny enough, I have my key on my neck, which I almost didn't wear it that night. I literally like started walking out of the house and I was like, I want to wear a necklace. I'll just put that one on because I usually wear that one. And so I almost didn't wear it. But I was like, funny enough, I like have my necklace on and like put it around her neck. And I was like, it says restore. And I just really feel like God is speaking that word over you, and was able to like pray that over her. And she was so touched. And she's told me multiple times that she's like, I literally like keep it in my car because I have a lot of panic attacks in my car. And like it like is so helpful, and like God speaks so a lot through it, and like just thank you so much. I'm like, wow, like it's helped, like it's done, like God has done work in my heart through even giving that to her. And like I said, like humbling myself and not like learning to not be prideful in that, but also like it has been really beneficial to her. So that was really encouraging to see. And so then after that whole thing happened, I literally like jumped up from the pew and like ran over to the front and was like dancing like a maniac because I was just like so excited and joyful. So that was also fun. Anyway.
The pew.
The pew. I mean, that's what they call it in, Baptist churches. Which, side note, I've never actually gone to a Baptist church. Actually, that's not true. I went to a Baptist church before Antioch.
Yeah. Wait, what church did you grow up in? I thought you grew up in a Baptist church.
No, it's non-denominational. It's a Bible church.
I have many God stories.
Beautiful.
So Teresa and I haven't recorded in like 2 months.
It hasn't been that long.
Well, it's been a long time. Let's see, what should I...
I actually don't remember the last time we recorded, so it could have been 2 months. Probably not.
So, I joined this house church. So it's a life group, but we kind of really focus on more like how do I say this? We're trying to really function more as like a house church, and that it's really a place where we are getting equipped and encouraged and built up to then go out into the city, into our jobs and our schools and our families, and make disciples of Jesus. And so we're kind of like pushing away from like traditional like small group type things, and we're really just like, okay, like we're just gonna follow the Holy Spirit and we're gonna do this as like church. And so it's been super encouraging because I'm with all these like freshmen, and some of them are just now learning what it looks like to follow God, and some of them have like been in the church their whole life but now are just like now learning how to own their own faith. And I mean, we've like every single week have been seeing like really, really cool things that God just moving powerfully. And this past week, I was asked by the leaders to teach on the prophetic.
Fun.
Yeah. And it was really cool because they just kind of gave me full, like, they're like, do whatever you want. And so I got to teach lots of practicals and lots of biblical backing. And I really liked it because it was full of a room of people who had no grid for anything. Because I've taught on the prophetic before, but it's normally with people that like already know or that like I'm already friends with, and so they've heard me talk about it before. But I just like got to like really just go in to like everything and talk about different biblical principles of prophecy and different like pastoral ways to deliver words, and like how we're all just learning this together, and how there's so much grace, because like a lot of times people think of prophecy and they only think of Old Testament prophets, where clearly in Deuteronomy it says like we judge prophets by the accuracy of their words, and if they get something wrong, then they're false prophets and they're not of God. But now that we are under the new covenant, that is no longer applies to us. And now it says in 1 Corinthians 14 that 2 or 3 prophets get up and speak, and then the body weighs the words. So that demonstrates that like we can get it wrong. Like as we're hearing God, it's like okay to get it wrong, and it doesn't mean that we're the false prophet. It just means like, oh, we missed it. Like we're human. We are learning what it looks like to hear the voice of God, and continually learning. And that's why we submit things, so that whoever we're giving the word to can weigh it with scripture, with other words, with what they feel like God is saying, and discern what is right, what is wrong. And so I just kind of like started preaching and like it was like really, it felt like family. It was really good. Like we were all like, I was sitting on the floor, we all like had our Bibles open, and we like did different hand motions. Let me see if I can explain this to the podcast. One thing that I was taught whenever I was learning how to hear God is you keep your hands open like you're presenting a gift. And that's how we want to submit words. So we open our hands like we're submitting a gift, but it is up to the person that we're giving that prophetic word to what they do with it. So they can pick it up and take it, and they say, oh yes, this applies to me. Or they can say, actually, I don't know that doesn't really fit. That doesn't really resonate with me. But whenever we offer it like a gift like that, it leaves space for them to do it, and so it creates a safe environment, and safe both for us so we can learn and grow, so that they can say, actually, I don't know if that's right, or yes, that's right. And so we learn more what the voice of God sounds like. And also safe for them so that they don't feel pressured, versus if we had kind of like put our hands down and hovering over them, and we like did like this thus saith the Lord kind of thing, that's how we saw prophets in the Old Testament give words. It can be very intimidating, and like then they feel like, oh, like I have to receive this even if it was off or wrong. And so I like had everyone like, okay, how do we want to give words? And we all put our hands out with our palms up. We're like, we submit words. We don't we don't give words like thus saith the Lord. And so it's just really fun. And then we did a prophetic activation where we had everyone, and I got to plan this out with Nikki, who is a friend of Teresa and I's we've been friends for a while, but we led a short-term trip to Southeast Asia together, and she was our admin for the trip. And yeah, so I got to lead it with her, and that was really cool because I haven't led with her since that trip.
That's so
and
fun.
Yeah, we did this activation thing where we had a table full of random objects, and each person was supposed to pray and ask God which object they were supposed to pick up that object, and then pray and ask God what God was saying about their partner that they were with through that object. And like people were crying, like the words, like God was just speaking so clearly, and like these people who had never prophesied before were like giving each other words, and everyone was like, "This is so cool! I got it right."
God talks to me. Yes.
And we also like before we did the activation, I was like in First Timothy 2, I think verse 4, or 4 verse something. I don't know. First Timothy, it talks about how it says, "Do not neglect the gift that was given to you by the laying on hands of elders," and then talks about how we need to practice it, and like goes on and on about that. And so I like shared that verse, and I was like, okay, so if there's any gifts that people want to receive tonight, we want to pray for you like they did in the early church, for you to receive that, and then we're going to practice that by this activation. And so 3 people were like, I want the gift, or 3 people were like, I want the gift of prophecy. 2 people were like, I want the gift of tongues. And so we prayed for people to get the gift of tongues and the gift of prophecy. And then they prophesied over each other, and it was just so fun. And life group, it was supposed to end at 8:30, and people did not start leaving until 10, and I didn't leave until 11. And it was just like people just were like praying over each other. We were like kind of in the middle, and just felt like we were supposed to worship, so we just all started worshiping together. It was just so powerful and beautiful. And like, it was like, man, this is the gospel. This is what life is about. Like, so good. And then another God story. The other day, I think maybe it was yesterday, to be honest, or the day before. I was in my shower where all great epiphanies happen. And I was like praying, and I was like, God, man, I'm really struggling with money, because at the time I like had I had this utilities bill that was double what it normally is for some weird reason. I'm not gonna bash the company, so I'm gonna refrain from talking about that.
Okay.
But yeah, so my bill was double that. I worked on filing my taxes, but it was like weird because a lot of the work that I had done this past year was like
jobs.
Yeah, it was like odd. Well, it was all for this guy, and he didn't take money out of my thing. It just, so anyways, I owe money on my taxes. And I was like, well, I owed like $450. That's what it was saying. And then also my missions trip at the time still needed $450. And I had like $20 in my bank account. And I was like, God, how, like, what is this? So I was just like really stressing. And then I felt like God was like, hey, you need to declare, which is funny. This is how I paid for Awaken last year. I like the same thing happened last year for this mission trip, which is called Awaken. So I felt like I was saying like, hey, you need to stop prophesying that you are living in poverty. Like, you keep complaining, you keep saying like, oh, I'm poor, or I can't afford this, and you need to stop, because like that's not the portion that I have for you. Like, I have given you abundance, and you have full access to my kingdom, full access to my finances, so stop acting like you don't. Wow. And so I was like, oh shoot. And so in the shower I just started saying like, okay, thank you, God, that you are a God of provision. Thank you that you always provide, that you give more than enough, you love to give abundantly. And so I just declare that my bank account will have lots of money in it. And I declare that my mission trip will be fully paid for. And then yesterday, I got paid way early than I was supposed to. Like, I wasn't going to get paid for like 3 more days, and I got paid way more than I was supposed to. Like, I was like, that's weird. And so then I had lots of money in my bank account, and then I went to finish my taxes, because I never submitted it, because I was like, I can't submit it because I don't have money to pay for it. So I was going to wait a little bit longer until I had more money. And whenever I went to do that, I looked up something. Apparently, the company that I've been working for doesn't. I don't know how this works. I'm just hoping that this is real. But like on their website, it says unless you make a certain amount of money, you don't have to file it with taxes because it's an international company. So I don't know. So then the amount of money that I have to pay goes down a whole lot. Also, I forgot about all my like the money that I've given to like missionaries in the church. I've given 30% of my income. In 2019, I gave 30% of what I made, which doesn't even make sense. Like the amount of money, like I like looked at, like I got my like giving receipts online and I looked at them. I'm like, I didn't even know I made that much money in this year. But I mean, which a lot of it was just like, I mean, like I'm just really diligent with any time that I donate to like report it. That's something my dad taught me, and I'm really thankful that I've done that because it also helped with my taxes. And then today, I got fully funded for Awaken. And so in 2 days, now I have several $100s in my bank account. Don't owe as much money on my taxes, like at all. I may even get money back, who knows. And my mission trip is fully funded. And I still have a check coming in the mail for several $100s.
Wow.
In a few weeks. And I'm like, or in a few days. So that was cool.
Praise God.
So anyways, just as like a testimony, like an encouragement for you guys, if you ever like we have power in our words, and like finance is like literally so little and we make such a big deal about it, but like God is gonna operate like God does not care about money. So like everything else will just happen. Like I've seen financial miracles my whole life. My family survived off of them because we were very, very poor, but my dad and mom had such high faith. And so literally every single like month to month, I would see miracles happen where we like didn't have enough money to pay to buy groceries, and then someone would come up to my dad and be like, hey, I felt like God was saying to give you this gift card for $200 to HEB. And so I like grew up with that understanding of like God provides, and have tried to apply it as much as possible in my life today. And like I have like I because of that I've seen so many miracles. Like I've seen God literally multiply money in my hands several times. Yeah. And most of the time it's not even necessary. Like it's just God showing off. Like the other day this happened. I was like, were you next to me? Is at church on Sunday? I don't know. I was with Dare and someone else. And I felt like God said to pull the money out of my pocket to give like whatever cash I had. And I was like, okay, like $4. Like literally that's all I thought I had. And I pulled it out and I counted it. It was like $35. And I was like, where did this come from? And it was like, I mean, like it was going to the church. Like it wasn't for me, but it was just like, and I'm like, I don't think $35 is going to make that big of a difference. But it was literally just like, I counted it before I put it in there. And so God was just like, hey, like where you're faithful to give, I'm faithful to. That's another thing. I guess I should point this out. So in this process, there have been a couple things that God has like taught me about finances. One, my dad specifically, lived by a rule, that wasn't like legalism, but really something he taught me. It was like an invitation from God. And it was like, he always gives away 10% of his income, whatever it looks like. And most of the time it's to the local church, but sometimes it's to other people or like to other trips or whatever. And so that's something I've been doing ever since I got a job for the past like 4 years. Just giving away 10%. But over the past 2 years or so, or like a year and a half, God was like teaching me about being diligent with my finances. And so I started saving money. So I also save 10% of my income. So anytime I make any money, whether it be a check or I get paid, the first thing I do is put 10% in my savings account and 10% in, or give 10% of it away. And God has honored that so much. Like I always thought that like it would be hard, but every time I give it away, it's like it comes back somehow normally more, or I just don't notice that it's gone at all. And then for Awaken, I had like whenever I got paid for my job, I had the 10%, and I was like gonna put it in my own missions trip thing. I was like, yeah, I mean that I like it, it's giving to like a mission trip. I was like, I could do that, but I felt like I was saying to give it to my friend instead, who's also going on the trip. And so I like went to her account thing, gave to her trip instead of my own, and then I'm fully funded before she was, and she had more money than I did. And so I'm like, okay, what? And it was just like, man, like I got to invest in someone else's trip, and my trip was more than funded. Like people gave me way too much money. I Venmo'd people back. So yeah, God is just like super faithful whenever we are faithful with what He gives us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that I always go on these rants. Sorry,
it's not bad.
It's the pastor kid in me.
So what's the news for today?
Let me see.
What's the 411?
So a dead humpback whale mysteriously appeared in the Amazon jungle.
He probably died.
No,
Mystery solved.
Well, but how did he get in the Amazon jungle?
That's a great question.
So researchers are having a whale. Oh my goodness. This is from the article. It says researchers are having a whale of a time trying to figure out how this humpback whale wound up in the Amazon rainforest.
I love that pun.
It is believed to be a calf, which is like a baby whale, I guess, was found on Friday on the Brazilian island of Marajo. It was about 50 feet from the ocean, according to Newsweek. Oh, this is less exciting than I thought. A spokesperson for the Brazil's Department of Health, Sanitation, and Environment told reporters that the animal was found in a mangrove swamp only after researchers noticed vultures circling in the sky. Wait, mangrove? Isn't that a Harry Potter plant?
What is? No, that's mandrake.
Same thing.
Not.
A team.
But no cigar.
Whoa, it's huge. Ew, it's so ugly.
Well, it is a whale. They're not small.
Oh, frick. I'm on their Instagram. Dang it. Go back. Wow, this is crazy.
And you said it was boring. Make up your mind.
Did you know? Oh my goodness. Have you heard of this? The don't punch a whale because it will explode and kill everyone.
What are you talking about?
What? You haven't heard of this?
No.
So whales, when they get beached,
yeah,
they like the stomach acids. I believe it's their stomach acids are like really like it produces like some gas when they die, and if it's not properly like disposed of, like if they don't have like a team come in and clean up the whale will just slowly like blow up. That's why it gets so big. But then it will get so big to the point where it explodes, and it's like a bomb going off. Like people die from this.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, and so that's why you don't poke. Like if you see a beached whale, you need to call the authorities right away because it could literally kill people. You don't poke it, and like people will go in and like poke the whale and death.
Oh gosh. Oh. What a way to go. I love that you said it that way. And then death.
Man in gorilla suit breaks in home and hides under bed.
Why?
This is what sin does to the world.
This is the result of the fall.
Police says a man wearing a gorilla suit broke into a Louisiana home and hid under a mattress before officers arrested him.
Wait, so not even like a bed, like just the mattress?
I don't know. That's so much funnier. I hope so.
It's just like this mattress hanging out on the ground, and he just crawls under it.
Yeah.
Nonchalant.
He ran into a home as officers approached, but was discovered hiding. So like people like saw him sneaking around homes, called the police, and then he like ran in. But why was he in a gorilla suit?
Does it answer that?
I don't know. He was jailed on charges including resisting an officer, unauthorized entry, meth possession. Oh, he was on meth. And wearing a mask.
Is that illegal?
Wearing a meth?
A mask.
Yeah, it is.
What?
Well, like, it's like, because everyone keeps killing people in masks. You know, do you remember when everyone was dressing up as clowns and killing people? And then, like, all these people were dressing up as clowns, like, just to pretend to be the clown that was killing everyone.
I know.
So, like, when that happened, / like, on Halloween, you're not allowed to go into restaurants or stores wearing masks.
Oh, that makes sense.
Like, a lot of places. Because you could go in with a mask, and if it's Halloween, everyone's like, oh, whatever. Like, you're just wearing a costume, but then you robbed a place, and there's no way of knowing who you are.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In Louisiana, a person convicted of wearing... Oh, it literally is about to describe the law. A person convicted of wearing a mask in public can be sentenced to 3 years in prison at most. Oh my gosh. Exceptions are allowed for religious purposes or on holidays like Halloween or Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras.
It's unclear
I love Mardi Gras.
if Morin, that's his name, has a lawyer who could comment.
Also, when I said I love Mardi Gras, I mean because I grew up in New Orleans for a few years when I was younger.
No,
I
Teresa
did not
loves
know.
partying.
Yes, I love alcohol. I don't even drink alcohol. I didn't know that people did basically any of the things that they do on Mardi Gras until like we moved away, or until like right before we moved away, because we would always do like go on the Navy base and like do all the like family friendly activities and parades. So I thought that's what it was, just a big like fun family party. But apparently it's not.
No.
But oh my gosh, a friend of mine the other day, her aunt sent her king cake, which if you don't know what king cake is, you're missing out. Do you know what king cake is?
I've tried king cake ice cream. Does that count?
No. Fat no.
Okay. Well, the king cake ice cream was delicious.
I'm so glad for you, but that's not the same. So king cake is this thing that they sell all of the time in New Orleans. Like, you can literally get it year round. And it is kind of looks like a giant donut cake. It is sort of like a pastry in like the texture, and it's like it's like a big donut shaped cake. And so it has icing on the top and like also like cream cheese stuff like in the inside. It's so good. And then on the top they always have sugar that's colored with purple, green, and yellow, which are the colors of Mardi Gras. And so
is it only for Mardi Gras that you eat
this that's why they eat it. But like I said, in New Orleans, like they sell it year round, so you can get it anytime. But I have never had king cake anywhere outside of New Orleans that's actually decent and like is good. It's always just not as good. So, but also another thing of the king cake is that they have a little plastic baby that they stick inside of the cake. And then if you get the baby in your piece, then the tradition is, like, people make it now into, they're like, oh, like, I win something, or like, yay, just like, I get the baby, yay. But traditionally, like, you'd get king cake for, like, every, like, party or event or something. And so if you were the one who got the baby in your slice, then you'd buy the next king cake for the next hangout or thing, whatever.
That's such a weird thing. Like, you just
that's why it's
find a baby.
I know that's why it's called king cake. I just don't know what the story behind like the baby and what that started is. But it's really good.
People are
so
strange. My
my friend whose aunt sent her some, she brought me a piece because she grew up in New Orleans. And she was like, oh, my aunt is sending me king cake. And I was like, she's what? And she was like, wait, you know what that is? And I was like, freaking yes. And then she brought me a piece the other day. And I almost cried while eating it because I was so happy.
Wow, you cry a lot.
Yeah, I cried earlier today. Oh, I told you about that, about the show. Yeah, I'm an emotional person, Isaac, and I've learned to be okay with that, which means I cry instead of suppressing my emotions.
That's good. I don't cry often. I don't suppress emotions either. I just feel terrible and don't cry.
That's valid as well.
Yeah, I know, but I wish I would cry because I love crying because it gets everything out, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a detox. I mean, that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
I love crying and then like someone giving me a back rub. Cause,
During or after?
After. Because you know whenever you cry, it like releases like your back. Like if you're like super tense. Mm-hmm. And so, that's what I want. That's what I want for my birthday. A good cry and a good back rub.
A good cry and a back rub.
My birthday is March 19th. If you want to give me Venmo money, my Venmo is Isaac-Overton. ISAAC-OVERTON.
Stop.
I don't know. Sometimes people want to give me presents. I like money. Or you could Amazon Prime stuff to me. Oh, I think that's weird.
Why is that weird? But them Venmoing you money isn't.
Well, I don't know.
That is nonsensical to me.
I don't want to give them my address.
Oh, I'm sorry about you.
Wow, so many things are happening.
Strange things are happening to me. Yes.
So, this is funny. The Anaheim Fire and Rescue Department posted on Twitter photos of this car, and it says, "Ever wonder what happens when a car is parked in front of a fire hydrant and a fire breaks out? Is a closest parking spot worth the broken windows and the citation and towing fees?" And they literally put the huge water holes through the car, so they like smashed the windows of the car.
Oof.
And put the hose through it, which
because they needed the water.
Yes, I agree, but like I feel like it would have been faster and easier just to put the hose over the car. Like in the picture,
maybe not because of the angle of like this. Like you don't know how stiff that
I guess that makes sense.
The hose is.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Also,
funny.
There's a water pressure to consider with that. Like the water pressure is not going to be as high if you put it higher up above the car, which could affect them putting out the fire. So don't park in front of a fire hydrant, friends, or you'll get fined and possibly a lot of other issues.
So this woman, Dorothy Clinton, dug up a potato in the shape of a duck. It literally, like we're looking at a picture of it, it looks like a duck.
It's like two potatoes smashed together. One of them is normal, the other one is not normal. And they're just stuck together, and it's a duck.
Well, I think, yeah.
Well, because the bottom, like the body, like that just looks like a regular potato. But then the head part doesn't look like a normal potato head shape. Yeah. I mean, potato shape.
What's the most exotic fruit or vegetable eating experience you've ever had?
What even does that
Not
mean?
Exotic, that's not the right word. Like organic.
Organic?
Like have you
What
ever,
are you asking?
Like have you
Those are all different adjectives.
Have you ever like
exotic
been on a farm and someone's like, here's a tomato, and you just eat it?
We used to have a garden when I was growing up, and we'd like eat stuff out of there a lot. Like when we were in New Orleans.
Is that the most like authentic experience though? I'm using different words every time, but none of them are fitting what I'm trying to say.
We also lived in New Orleans, and we went to somewhere out in the country, like a little bit away, and we picked blueberries from this farm, because you could like pay a certain amount of money and like pick as many blueberries as you wanted for however long. And so like our whole family did it. We had blueberries for months because we just froze them all. And like we were like eating them as we were picking them. So that was really fun.
Interesting.
Also, my coworker was telling me the other day that blueberries are really high on antioxidants. And so she'll like freeze them and then just like pop them in her mouth, and like she's like, it's like ice cream, which I thought was really funny.
Oh, they do not taste like ice cream.
Well, because it's frozen, though, is what she was saying. It's like eating blueberry ice cream is what she was saying. Yeah, probably that. Or, like, a friend of mine gave me fresh eggs from his parents' farm one time, and they were really good. Also got fresh eggs from Joanna Gaines's farm one time.
Yeah, I was here when we did that.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot.
So I thought about this. When I was in Southeast Asia over the summer, there was one time where we went on this, like, 3-day trip, and we literally, how did we even end up there? We were like, wait, what? Oh, we met this family at this park, and they were like, come to our house for tea. And so we just followed them, and they lived literally in the middle of, like, the jungle, like, middle of nowhere. It was so weird. And so we're, like, following them down these dirt roads, like, that don't even look like roads. There's, like, trees everywhere. We're like, what is happening? Are we about to get murdered? Like, who knows? It's going to be fun. And then we get there, and we go into their house. It's a really beautiful, nice house. It turns out, like it was like a really rich area, but it's just in the middle of nowhere. Like, there's, like, it was weird. So it's a really nice house. And then the girls stayed and talked to, like, the women, and the guys went with the guys, and they were like, we're going to go fly kites. And we're like, what? And so we went into this huge field and flew, like, 10-foot kites.
That sounds amazing.
And it was these huge, like, different fields of different fruits and vegetables. And a lot of what they were growing were cucumbers. And so the guys just kind of, and we don't speak their language. They don't speak our language.
Yeah.
We're just kind of communicating with, like,
Hand
very
gestures?
little.
You didn't have a translator or anything with you?
Our translator was John'l.
Oh.
So my friend John'l, he was our translator. And the only reason he knew the language was because he had been there the previous summer. So he had, like, by this point, 5 months of being in the country. So that was the extent of his language that he knew. So we, like, knew a little bit, but not really. And also our friend Nia was born in the country. She knew the language. But she was with the girls. So we were, like, there, and they just pull up these cucumbers and start handing them to us, and we're like, what? And I ate a cucumber, and I don't really like cucumbers, but that was the best cucumber I ever had. And I was like, this is amazing. And I was like, I'm eating cucumbers in the middle of a field, in the middle of a jungle, in Southeast Asia.
And that's so random. Oh my gosh, wow.
So that was probably my most exotic.
There was one time, I still don't know if that's the word you're trying to use.
Yeah, I don't know.
Authentic to, I don't know. There was one time in Peru, you might have been with us, I can't remember, when we went to the orphanage.
Yes. I think I was with you. At least for part of it.
Yeah. Well, he was showing us around, like, the grounds and stuff, and he was showing us, like, all the different crops and stuff that they had, because they were almost self-sustaining? They were almost self-sustaining.
Yeah.
And so, like, they had all their, like, they would grow all their own food, and had, like, I think they had cows and stuff, too. Anyway, but so he was showing us this one, plant, which they had prickly pear there, which is a form of cactus. And, which I knew this beforehand, but I'd never seen it firsthand, but there's this, like, parasite that grows on them sometimes, and it looks like this white, powdery kind of substance, and it grows, like, little pockets of something. I think it's, like, a kind of insect or something that, like, lays their eggs or something on there. And so he was, like, pointing to it and was, like, talking about it, and obviously I think he was speaking in Spanish. I can't remember how much English he spoke, but anyway, but he was, like, talking about it, and come to find out, like, they use that, like, the little sacks of, I guess it's, like, I don't know if it's eggs, but, like, not the powder, but the other part in there, in red dye, like, for clothing and things like that, and, like, makeup and all of that stuff. And so he, like, literally, like, picked up a piece of it, smashed it in his fingers, and, like, started putting it on Taylor's face.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he was like, oh, it's like lipstick, or it's like rouge and stuff. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. And so she, like, put it on her lips too, and was like, oh, it's a good shade. So that also, I mean, I didn't eat it, obviously, and neither did she, but that was very interesting.
I miss Taylor.
We also, what's the word? Harvested a bunch of wheat.
I do remember that. That was hard work.
That was
harvested.
Harvested, okay.
I think so. That was hard work. That was good. I remember being like, man, this is what I needed. Just some manual labor.
I'd never done anything like that in my life, and it was so rewarding. Also, my name means harvester of God, so it just really spoke to me. So it was a lot of fun. Did a lot of sweating. There were a lot of weird bugs, and I got bit by a lot of weird bugs, but ended up being fine. And then there were a bunch of like bumblebees or something flying around that kept freaking me out because I didn't know what they were, and they're really big, but they were fine. But yeah, that was so much fun. Man, I loved that. And their avocados that they gave us for every meal were so good. Oh, they were so good. I wanted to cry. That was the first time I ever had avocado toast. Was in Peru.
What?
Yeah. I'd never heard of it before.
Also, did it ruin avocado toast for you? Because that was the best avocado toast. Like, that was the best avocados you could ever get.
Yeah, I know. It was. But
like,
it didn't ruin it.
Like, the avocados on that farm are actually probably the avocados that we eat in grocery stores. Because they provide to, like, I think 70% of the U.S. or something. Like, it was crazy.
Not that specific one, but, like, in Peru.
Yeah. But no, but that one was, like, a huge...
Really?
Yeah. Like, it was, like they were, like the likelihood of us having their avocados was like, super high.
But they were fresh.
But they were fresh. Like, it was, like, 4 weeks different. Yeah, that's
really funny.
I miss those avocados. That was the best part about Peru, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's probably it for today, right? All right. Well, so thankful you guys stick around, even in our craziness.
And our ranting.
Yeah.
Rabbit trails.
What do you think of this podcast?
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Like, comment,
subscribe,
follow, whatever you do.
Well,
you do you.
It's been a pleasure talking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the tea.
That's the tea.